I wanted to give you a little bit more detail on verbs that I didn't include on the verb cheat sheet because it was too complex to explain and took up too much room. And this is mostly to do with the aspects of the verb. So we're going to focus on that category of verbs right now. So as I pointed out here, there are two main categories of verbs. There's the perfect, which is composed of a form of have plus the past participle. Past participle is the ed form for regular verbs, so walked. And perfect conveys a sense of past or completion. So keep that in mind as we go through these. The second category is progressive, and that one is the present participle, which is the ing form, so walking. And that one is easy to remember because it's a verb. It conveys a verb that is still in progress, so it's ongoing, which is conveyed in English with the ing form of the verb. I've organized these into tenses instead of the way they've presented them in the book. So I have present, past, and then future tense, starting with the perfect, progressive, and then the perfect progressive in each of those tenses. So the easiest way to remember how these verbs are composed is to look at how the name of them is set up. So here we have present perfect, so we know that the have verb is going to be in the present tense. And in here, the auxiliary verb be is going to be in the present tense in your present progressive. And then in present perfect progressive, we have the first verb is in the present form. So in all of these aspects, in the present tense, the first verb is going to be in the present tense. The second word in the descriptor tells what tense the second verb is in. So perfect, because that conveys that sense of past, it's the past participle or the ed form, as we already mentioned, of the main verb. Present progressive, the progressive, that's the second verb, is the present participle or the ing form of the main verb. And then here we have a verb composed of three verbs. So the first verb has, or the verb to have, is in the present tense. The second verb, to be, is the past participle, which is been. That's an irregular verb. And the third verb, which is the main verb, is the present participle, the ing form of the verb. So that makes sense in my head, and I hope it does in yours, and that helps me break down kind of how the verbs are being put together and helps me identify them when I see them. So we have in our example here, present perfect, we have the present form has, walked is the past participle. Here we have present of to be is, and the present participle, walking, the ing form. And for present perfect progressive, we have the present tense of have, the past participle of be, and the ing form of walking. And then the same thing is true with all of your other tenses. The difference is just that we have past and future. So the past, we have here our first verb is in the past, have in the past is had, plus the perfect is the past participle walked. Our first verb here is past, which is be, was, and progressive is the ing form, walking, ing. And then we have the three words here, past, we have had as the past of had, the perfect of be, which is been, and the progressive of walk, which is walking. And then future is the same, we just add the will in front of everything to indicate that. And then I wanted to just go over, here's our moods, the four moods we have, and then active and passive voice. Hopefully is fairly self-explanatory. Basically what we're doing is we're switching the nouns, the order of the nouns, serving as object and subject. So where in an active sentence we have subject, verb, object. In a passive sentence we have object, verb, subject. The two keys that you want to look for to identify when a sentence or clause is passive is that you have a form of the be verb in front of the main verb, and then often you'll have a by following the verb. and that by is followed by the subject who is doing the verb. And so to change from passive to active, we're just going to reorder those nouns and put them back in their more logical order. So the first thing we need to do is determine the action verb, and then that should be bracketed by our two nouns. So you want to find your be verb, or find your action verb, and ask who is doing the action, who is doing the kicking. The ball is obviously not doing the kicking, so it must be the subject, Jill. So we order that the way it makes the most logical sense, that Jill is doing the kicking, so Jill kicked the ball. Once we have it in that order, we can diagram and determine the sentence pattern if necessary.